There are a multitude of reasons why women should not be using dating apps. I'm going to name quite a few of them, but there are even more reasons than that. So, one reason being that women should not be using dating apps is that it's fake. It's a fake platform that was created. Um, and the thing is about these apps, especially ones where you're supposed to meet people in person, meet people one on one in person, is that like that was so there's a difference between the intended purpose of an app and the real life application of said app. So an app with one intended purpose, like a dating app like Tinder or Bumble or what have you, could have an entirely different purpose and function once it's actually being used. And that is exactly what happens with dating apps. So that's something to keep in mind. And the men on these apps are fake. They talk about themselves in ways that don't really make sense. Also, you're only allowed to have a very limited number of things like written on your profile. Like your profile has like a really strict, um, you know, character limit. So you can't even say that much about yourself. I'm going to get more into that later. Um, but also, I was on Bumble somewhat recently, and there was a section where you could like pick activities that you were interested or you liked to do, and you could only pick like five of them, and they offered like, 50. So I was like, that's dumb. Um, anyway, so there was a study done, and I actually figured this out myself because I just scrolled enough times. I scrolled left enough times. I swiped it left enough times to understand this, that I only thought 20% or less or lower of the men on that app were in any way attractive or even just decently attractive or just like not ugly. But I found a study that said that women only find 5 to 20% of the men on dating apps attractive, which is so fucking low. Like, if you're a guy, honestly, like, and you really are using a dating app in a genuine way, which is very unlikely to start, but say you are, your chances in that case are not good. Your chances are low. Like, sorry, fam, but we're gonna get to that later. I also recently heard, and I was not at all surprised about this, and I suspected this beforehand, but I didn't hear it in these words. It was obvious to me that men who were on these apps watched pornography. Okay, it was really obvious by their behavior. But what I heard was that it's actually very likely that while men are on apps like this, they're switching from the app and pornography. Okay, which is pretty scary, honestly. But that feeds into my earlier point, which is the real life application of this app, in fact, being used in real life in the wild, is different than its actual function. And its actual function is for men to treat real women, okay, who have taken real pictures of themselves, written real words about themselves, filled out real questions about themselves on these apps, are being treated like pornography. Okay, we're gonna get into that in a minute. But also let's keep in mind what things you do on your phone. What are the popular things for people to do on their phones? TikTok, Instagram. I don't know what the heck else people are using their phones for. I guess they're on YouTube as well. Obviously, men are watching pornography. But that puts it into your brain that something like an app is supposed to provide you with entertainment. Something like an app, even if it does in fact have real women on it, is supposed to be there at your disposal. These women, to these men, are supposed to be there at the men's disposal. They're not thinking about this in a rational way. And it's likely because it's on a phone, like I said a minute ago. So men on it are the worst. I have, in fact, met many men from apps like this over the years, and they're all incredibly fucking stupid. And you know what? Stupid is kind of a nice word to use in comparison to what these men actually are. They're awkward. They're really just socially not with it. A friend of mine who also used this app, she said that they all had like masturbation face. And once she said that, I was like, oh, she's kind of right. Because they do. So imagine a guy, right, who uses his phone a lot to watch pornography, and uses his phone a lot to be entertained by swiping on dating apps. How is he going to treat a real woman? I would put in my profiles on these dating apps, I would say, do not message me if you wouldn't speak to me in real life. If you wouldn't approach me in real life, don't send me a message. And I question the literacy rate of these men. We're going to get to that in a second. But people don't really read profiles. I did because I cared. But men using these apps don't. They're kind of... So I had interactions like this with men on these apps, and I know that other women had interactions like this with men on these apps. So you would say hi, super, super like basic interaction, right? And then you might get to talking about something like a common interest you share. And then the guy would just disappear. Like nothing, to the best of your knowledge, was said that was offensive. But I think what was often happening there, and because I heard this from other women happening, is that I think that these men are quite literally treating you like pornography. So if you're not the right clip, if you're not the right video, if you're not entertaining them in the most perfect way, they're like, unmatched, swipe left, go to the next one, right? Because it's at their disposal. Women are at their disposal. And women are like an infinite resource, because there actually kind of are like infinite profiles you can swipe on. And that's scary to think about, but anyway. Okay, here's a fun one. Here's a fun interaction I had with some loser on Bumble. So, I don't know what we were talking about, but this is a grown man. Okay, this is a grown man. I don't even remember exactly when this happened, but this man was 28 or older, and we were talking, and he used the wrong form of to. He meant to say TOO, but a grown-ass man typed TO. And if English isn't your first language, I'll give you a pass, but this guy only spoke English. So there's absolutely fucking no reason for a grown-ass man to make such an elementary grammatical mistake. So I corrected him. Obviously, I did an asterisk and I wrote to TOO and I put a puke face emoji, and that made him really mad. He was so mad. It was kind of funny though, because he was just immediately like, well, I can be like you too. And then he told me that I looked homeless, probably because in one of my pictures I was wearing a winter coat. But I would much rather look homeless than use the incorrect form of to, like a third grader. But anyway, yeah, so that made him really mad. And I've heard of other women saying this too. Like a friend of mine, she was on a dating app, and this guy, I think this guy messaged her, and she looked at his pictures, and he had something wrong with his face. Like he had a jacked up, like cuts all over his face, and he had clearly only taken 5 pictures of his face on the same day because he had just a messed up face. So my friend was like, did you get in a fight? And the guy got all mad at her. Like, bro, you can't fucking post pictures of your cut up, jacked up face and then be shocked when a woman says, "What happened?" But this guy was shocked because I don't know what was going on in his mind. But, um, so the apps also censor you. I put on my profile a number of times that I didn't want any vegetarians. Like, don't message me if you're vegetarian. I didn't want any vegans either. I also posted a political meme as one of my pictures. Okay, so the meme is of, it's like a black and white picture of a guy with his it's like a very crude picture. It's not detailed at all, but it's a guy holding a wall and he's puking. Okay, and so I posted a meme. I made that a meme, and I posted, when I see a guy on a dating app who goes by they, and it was the guy puking. That got taken off because you're not allowed to put political things on your dating app. How dare you? How dare you try to find someone who is of your same political affiliation, same or similar political affiliation, or how dare you even try to post a funny meme? Not allowed. These apps, I think that the creators of these apps know for a fact that men who obsessively watch pornography are using these apps. Or they know that the real life application of these apps is different than their intended purpose, and they don't care. Because I can see, like, think back, if you're old enough, think back to before we had dating apps, or shortly before we had dating apps, but we still had smartphones. It is a good idea to create a dating app. I see where you're coming from with that. I like, on principle, I understand the intention there. And I'm not saying that no one ever finds anyone on a dating app ever. That's not true, because they in fact do. But just that, I'm saying I can see where the creators of these apps were coming from. But in practice today, it's not really making a lot of sense because they don't work. They're not designed for success. They're designed for failure. They're designed to be this weird tangent where you just kind of stay and don't advance. And I've heard this from countless people. You know, I've heard of so many women using these apps and having similar, if not identical, experiences. And I was going to get to this a second ago, but the reason why men get so mad at women, like that guy got so mad at me for correcting his grammar, is because that's how pornography really teaches you to behave. It teaches you to react to any disruption, anything, with anger, with extreme anger. And that's likely a lot of the pornography these men are watching, but I digress. Okay, here's one of my this is my favorite one. It's funny because I actually saw flyers just out in public recently that were like, a dating app help. Like, do you need help with your dating profile? Because men sure as shit do. If they are being serious and they do actually want to find a girlfriend or a serious relationship from a dating app, they are doing really poorly by posting pictures of themselves. I'll tell you the types of pictures men post that are just, I don't know why you would post these types of pictures at all anywhere. It doesn't really make sense. So the most common one that I would see, the most common picture I would see, and on these apps, you have, you know, the photo that is your photo that's going to come up on when you're swiping, okay? So, and then if you go to that person's profile, you can see more pictures of them. But so, this was the most common thing that annoyed me so much, was that men would put on their main, they would make their main picture of them a picture of them with 3 other guys, with 4 other guys. How the fuck Am I supposed to pinpoint you out of 5 guys in a picture, you dumb shit? I'm not going to. No one's going to. They're just going to swipe left. You need to make the first picture of you, your main picture, a picture of only you. I don't know why people need that explained to them. Okay, here's another example of stupid ass pictures men would post on these apps. So they would post a picture of them, but their friend or whoever took the picture was like 25 feet away, 30 feet away. So they're like this tall in the picture. Like, I don't know what you look like very well if your range is that fucking far from the camera. Obviously, I'm going to swipe left. Okay, and here's another one that men would post. I have 2 more that men would post. One was with their face covered or obscured in some way. Like, I don't know why you would make your main profile picture a profile of you wearing a mask, wearing a face mask. How can I tell if you're attractive when half of your face is covered, dumbass? But anyway, or they would just post pictures of them, like, just bad quality pictures that you cannot see what they actually look like. And oh, here's another one. I didn't really see this, but my friend said this was a number one. This is a really big photo fad on the dating apps, is men posting themselves in their Halloween costumes. I would actually respect that if you really put a massive effort into your Halloween costume and it was actually cool. But if you're just slapping on like a hot dog suit from Spirit Halloween, like, are you trying to convey that you're fun? Are you trying to convey that you're goofy because you bought a $15.99, maybe $7.99 Halloween costume from Spirit Halloween? Because it ain't working, dude. So but the thing is about these pictures, and that are bad quality, right, is that in a way it's not quite catfishing, but it's being dishonest. Men are trying to post pictures of themselves that are not clear, that are dishonest, so that you don't get a clear idea of what they look like, so that you are going on limited information, right? They're purposely being deceitful. Okay, and that's another thing about these apps, is that men would often say, like, looking for something casual. Or they would be 35 and it would say undecided about having kids. Like, moron. Why the fuck would any woman on the planet want to swipe right on you, or want to meet you, or even want to talk to you if you're a 35-year-old male who wants doesn't want anything, what would it say? Basically wanting to hook up, and you don't fucking know what your life is. Like, what you want in life. Like, it's very obvious. Like, what part of that is attractive? None of it. None of it is attractive. I would say that these are more entertainment apps. These are more time suck apps, like Instagram, like TikTok. Is that instead of being designed for at least more success, they're designed purely for entertainment. And chances are you're not going to find someone you like if you're talking to them in the context of an entertainment app. Just putting that out there. Oh, I was going to talk about this. I almost forgot. I followed this gal on Instagram. I don't have Instagram anymore, thank God. But I did follow this gal on Instagram who was a professional masseuse. And she had a dating app. And men would constantly message her, assuming she was a prostitute and treating her like she was a prostitute, when she had an actual business doing massage. Like, but that is the kind of behavior that these apps encourage. That's the kind of behavior that these apps are banking on. Because if men didn't behave that way, then these apps wouldn't be working. I've not experienced these apps in the context of non-heterosexuality. You know, I haven't been on a lesbian dating app or a gay men's dating app. Obviously, why would I? I'm not a gay man. But I don't know what people's experiences on those types of dating apps are. I don't know. But I was going to say that men are very likely treating these apps in order to just fuck women and sleep with women. But they're not even behaving like that. Because if they really were just trying to hook up, then they would behave differently. If men really were just trying to hook up with women on these dating apps, then they wouldn't be speaking to them for entertainment. Do you see what I'm saying? Their actions do not coincide with their intentions. Because why would you just be talking to a woman and then get all upset and angry with her and then block her? If that wasn't really your goal the whole time. I don't really know what the solution is to this. If you're really dead set on using a dating app, I'm not going to stop you. No one's going to stop you. These dating apps are going to continue to exist, but it just seems like the probability of you finding a guy that you like and want to hang out with and want to be in a relationship on a dating app are very low. And it seems like you could be doing better things with your time than swiping left or right. That is all. Goodbye.